Hello and welcome back. We are going to be starting a new run as the Dutch East Indies. Notably, they have under 20% literacy, so they are eligible for the literacy achievement. They're one of the few recognized powers that is, but let's get in here. There's two kind of features about the Dutch East Indies that are particularly unique. The first is that you are a subject nation. You are a dominion of the Netherlands, which means you have to pay money to them each month. I'm not exactly sure on the percentage. I will look this up at some point. But you have to pay money to them each month, despite being, roughly twice their economy. We have a GDP of 6.29 million. Netherlands has a GDP of 2.6 million, so even more than double. So most of what the Netherlands' power comes from is the Dutch East Indies themselves. The second feature that's really unique / interesting, if we take a look at the population, you'll notice most of our people are Javan, Moluccan, Sumatran, this type of stuff. We can even click show more. We got the U, we got Batak, we got Melanesian, Bornean, and then Dutch down here in 30k. Okay, let's see which cultures we accept. Whoops. Yeah, we accept Dutch, and almost all of our pops are not Dutch. So the Dutch East Indies is fairly unique. The East India Company also has this trait or characteristic about it where you are persecuting a huge majority of your population, so it's very easy for revs to pop. And this will kind of inform our play a little bit as we try and move on to multiculturalism eventually. Now, 1.2 has significantly nerfed your ability to go multiculturalism. There is an event chain called the Path to Liberalism. I'm pretty sure this is the event chain, where if you pop this event, you will get an option to create someone who is a radical. See, this has ideology radical, or radical is an ideology. And once this event fires, you get the option to turn one of your people into radical. It requires you have a radical, a market liberal, or a liberal. But when you turn someone into a radical, now you can enact multiculturalism. Is this tooltip not gonna let us hover? It's not. Well, if you look up under Stance on Citizenship, which is the first section under Radical, you'll see that they endorse multiculturalism. So we really want to get multiculturalism, so we don't want to accidentally proc the Path to Liberalism. But once we can do multiculturalism, we want to get the Path to Liberalism. And so this is kind of going to inform the play. We're probably going to go, as far as tech goes, railroads into beelining for human rights. That way, once we get human rights, then we can enact multiculturalism. Again, this is super important for us in particular because we're discriminating against a huge majority of our pops. Now, the Dutch are the ones with all the power, and so it creates this weird sort of situation. The landowners are super caked up. We also have slavery at the start of the game, which is... they're one of the few powers that endorses slavery. We could even switch to slave trade if we wanted to. I don't think we're going to do so this run, but just for starting steps, because slavery is a weak mechanic overall, because there's a variety of reasons, but it depresses your standard of living. It makes it harder to get migrants, and migration is more powerful than slavery purchasing. You get... people who make more money pay more taxes, and they also consume more goods. So tenable, it's not really tenable long term. But okay, so let's just quickly view over the politics, because we're already in here, and talk about them a little bit. We start out as a presidential republic oligarchy, so we would prefer parliamentary republic, but this is whatever. We could switch back to monarchy and then switch to parliamentary republic. This is something you can do fairly easily. We might end up trying to do this. Oligarchy's fine. Landed voting would also be fine. We have racial segregation. We really want to get onto multiculturalism. Unfortunately, no one supports it. Everyone is rather neutral on all these affairs, though. Total separation. This is good. We have appointed bureaucrats. Peasant levies we want to get off of. We want to eventually get guaranteed libs. These sorts of stuff. So we start with agrarianism, mercantilism, land-based taxation. Kind of like decent medium-ish laws, with the exception of slavery is bad, and we have serfdom. Now, it's really, really easy to get rid of serfdom at this current juncture with the Corn Laws event chain, which is what we will be doing to get rid of serfdom. Here, let's find the journal. In order to do this, you need to have the landowners in government. We have this. Have the landowners be powerful. We have this. And then prioritize export on grain. So we will do this, and this will pop the event chain. For now... I think we will just put the armed forces in government. They're already in government, and try and pass just a little bit. Professional army, the landowners don't get like this. We go from -5 to 0. This is whatever. We'll maybe take 1 tick of this, and then we'll try and switch on to our more important laws. Now, let's quickly go in here. When you provoke the corn laws, you generally want to make sure you can unlock free trade, so you want to make sure you have stock exchange researched. We already do have that, and so we will start getting into atmospheric engine pump, mechanical tools, into railways, this type of thing, because railways are going to be important, and we're going to be building a little bit tall in West Java. As far as building tall goes, we're going to encourage manufacturing here, and then for the rest of our authority, we are going to want to... Well, you can really make 2 decisions right here, because we actually do not have an enormous amount of authority at the start of the game. You can either put in some consumption taxes, or you can bolster interest groups. I think that we are going to go for consumption taxes and look to increase construction as much as possible, but it would be reasonable to also, let's see, go into marginalized interest groups here, and maybe bolster the Intelligentsia and the Industrialists. It's going to take quite a while to have these guys come up. The main reason why is we look at the buildings that we have, you notice we have like no urban buildings. We actually do have like no urban buildings. Like, it's not even an exaggeration. All we have is the urban centers and government admins, and everything is rural, and there's quite a few rural buildings. And so what this will mean is it's pretty hard, or it's going to be pretty hard for us to pump up the industrialists, because all of these are owned by aristocrats. If we go into the ownership section, you can just see aristocrats, except for the wood choppies. These are merchant guild owned. So, which is primarily petite bourgeoisie with the shopkeepers, or right now it's industrialists, but this will change as we unpause and let the game tick. So it's going to take a little while to have a bit of come up. I think it's better to just go for construction early on and reform all of the economic stuff early by abusing the corn laws, which is an event chain that is just too good. We'll talk about it in just a sec. So we're going to tax services, because if we take a look here, our poor pops, for the most part, do not consume an enormous amount of services. And so this is effectively a progressive tax. It is taxing middle and upper strata mostly. It's only 3% on the lower class. As the lower class starts to come up and have like 14, 15, 20, like these types of SOL, 20 like the middle class, then services becomes a major consumption, and so taxing services starts to get worse, but early on it's good because we have, services is something we have quite a lot of. We'll also tax that wacky tobacco, and we'll tax luxury clothes, and this will put us all in. They did also add a change in 1.2.2. I think this popped in 1.2.2, where you get minus attraction of the interest group in government. Because we don't particularly want to juice up the landowners, we might intentionally tax higher in order to pull people out of the IG of the landowners, and also to construct more. But this is just something to think about. All right, let's get into what we want to be building here. We have spent all of our authority. We're going to want to build a few construction centers. We're going to go up to 5. And then we're going to start using tool-based economy to start push ourselves towards industrialization. It's notable that we are inside the Netherlands market, and so we can, in terms of our own conscious construction, we can overbuild on the manufacturing a little bit and trust that the Netherlands will build, the chops and the grain and like these types of stuff. And so we want to focus on buildings that are going to be owned by industrialists, because long term, that's who we want to get juiced up, caked up, big, as it were. Okay, so we've handled the authority. We've handled kind of where we're going in terms of tech. Let's just queue up these, and then we'll pick the society one as needed. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to spend our diplomacy. Now, I think that in general, for this run, we are going to want the Great British to like us, and we're going to want to avoid getting into trouble with some other people. So we're going to do that. And we are going to take a quick save, because we have already put kind of everything we want in, and then we're going to see if we can get independence from the Netherlands just right off the start here, and see if maybe the Great British will join us. We will have all these allies, so many allies, and see, the thing is as long as we're subject of the Netherlands, Great Britain can actually declare war on the Netherlands or war on us, as long as they have negative relations with the Netherlands. Other than that, if we maintain positive relations with the UK, they won't be able to stick their finger in our pie. So that'll be a little bit difficult, but we just want to see if we can maybe get Great Britain in, or something like this. Now this primary demand requires that we land their capital. I don't really think we can do that. I don't think we're capable of that. So we're only going to go with this war if Great Britain will help us out. In theory, if you don't want to reload and save and reload, you would just restart the run here in order to make sure that you... just kind of like, if you wanted to keep trying to roll it, my understanding is this war, usually Great Britain won't, but this is just something you can do at the very start. Usually Great Britain will not be interested in joining. We see that they're not, so we're just going to take a quick load, and we're instead going to expand in Indonesia as far as our early expansion, and we'll come back to this idea of doing this later. Okay. As far as declaring interests, let's declare a couple interests here and there. We're going to declare an interest right here. Let's just take a quick look right here. Now the reason why is we discovered in the Sokoto run there's an absolutely OP building that you can build in Messina, and we want to be able to colonize a path into Messina so that we can take that state, so that we can get increased access to education, so we can pop off in terms of our literacy rate later on. But for now, what we will be doing is we will be trying to expand, you know, here in Kutai, Sintang, Brunei, these types of things, because we have an interest here and we will have an interest over here, and we will be colonizing over here, slash maybe taking Ashanti or something like this. So as far as just being able to, ooh, actually, we're also going to delete a bunch of military. We don't need this much military, and we're very likely to have a revolution because, as we said earlier, we're not accepting like any of the pops. So like even if we play perfectly, it's fairly likely we get a rev. So we're going to delete these 5 stack, the 2 stack, and then we're going to make it so that West Java has at least matching, West Java, which is the capital, at least matches the other 2. And so by doing this, we are making it so if we have a revolution, the revolution won't have an enormous army. And so hopefully this will help out a little bit. It'll also weaken the armed forces a little bit. And then we're going to, and also this army's more than strong enough to like annex all these guys up and around here. We want to go for Brunei particularly because they have, in terms of the countries we can take, they have a good amount of iron. So we're just going to vassalize our way towards Brunei. The reason why we're vassalizing towards Brunei is we want to abuse the fact that, how should I say, so Brunei, we want to vassalize like Kutai and Bulagan and just let them construct stuff. They get 5 free construction, which is a whole lot early on when we only have 9 construction. So we don't want to just straight up annex them. That's why we want to vassalize them instead. So we're going to just do this. And then we want to take Brunei specifically because we actually do want those iron mines. Alright, let's get into it. We will need to recruit a general. We will take the armed forces boyo, even though the other guy's probably better, because we just don't want to juice up the landowners. And you see, we get this journal entry for the corn laws. Let's actually go into here and put this one in here. Reform the Indies. So in order to do this, I think this is new. So we have to improve GDP by 50% and do not have serfdom, land-based taxation, get slavery banned, this sort of stuff, and we get reforming the Indies. Okay. Maybe that's not new, but it's just locking in. Oh, it's just calculating that we have some progress towards it. Okay. Now the corn laws will give us events every few ticks, and eventually one of these will give us a market liberal landowner, which is crazy strong. Now we could preserve the market liberal landowner in theory, so that we can try and get path to liberalism, because if you see, has ideology market liberal, but we're going to take a risk here and just try and get the economic reforms in through first. Even though we have a way to force a market liberal, we'll just trust that we maybe acquire a liberal or a radical later on in order to try and push this through. We will just try not to juice the aristocrats up too much. We are going to put war reps in here, and we're also going to put open the market. I've discovered that for the fairly often, people will want to join in plays just so they can get the open market CB on your subject. And so if you just beforehand open their market, they're less likely to join against you with this explicit purpose. We will establish a colony over here, and we will try and work our way towards Messina. We're just going to establish in both spots, but we will, in terms of tech that is the non-industrial tech, after we get through this chain, we will kind of probably just try and beeline, you know, pharmaceuticals into Quinine, this type of thing. But we will be getting Katai here in a minute. We're going to up the speed because we don't really need to play super slow, and we're just going to try and figure out a way for us to lose a little bit of money as we're up in construction. We want to try and get to like 100, 200 construction as quickly as possible. Probably won't get that done in this singular episode, unless we go speed 5. But we will be, you know, building up predominantly tall in the capital here. The reason we're building tooling workshops is so that we can kind of support a bit of a tooling-based economy, and we can switch to sawmills on the chop chops. The sawmills on the chop chops will switch from merchant guilds to privately owned, which will make it owned by the capitalists instead of the shopkeepers. These capitalists will be predominantly industrialists, whereas the shopkeepers tend to be more petite bourgeoisie, and we get modern conservatives. So this is what I was talking about. This is how you abuse the corn laws. If we take a look here, let's pull up our landowner, who is, by the way, 60% clout, so this is huge. If we click a new leader for the age, we will get a guy who is now market liberal, which he's all for serfdom abolished, free trade, and laissez-faire, which is, we will pass some of these laws, so let's get into it. We are going to come up off of this law, I think. Yeah. We even got a bad event. Doesn't matter. It's not very important. We will get off of serfdom here. No more serfs. They don't belong on their turf. And you will notice, normally, this is kind of an obscene thing. The market liberal, I think that you shouldn't be allowed to get a market liberal landowner, or it should be very rare. It should certainly not be through an event chain that you could just always get. But we can do it. Normally, serfdom is something the landowners oppose. Normally, they oppose laissez-faire interventionism, and normally they oppose free trade. And this just lets you pass through all of those things very easily. And this is going to be a huge part of, you know, reforming the Indies, as it were. Because we're going to get the serfdom out, we're going to get free trade, we're going to get, well, we'll work on the land-based taxation. Eventually, we do want to kneecap these boyos, and so what we can even do, we don't mind being in a deficit right now, but we can increase the taxes to get minus attraction of the interest groups in the government, which includes interest groups we don't even really want to be powerful for particularly long. So we will be kind of going that route. Let's actually expand construction in Central and East Java, because we can afford a little bit more, and we enforce on Kutai. Hurrah! So now they are a vassal. Now, we can Dominion Booligan, but we actually want military access through them in order to get into Brunei. And we also should have very little infamy anyways. So we'll just take a quick save just in case the spooky Great Britain puts their finger in our pie. And we will vassalize Booligan here. I wish there was a way to, you know, it would be nice if we could just ask Britain, send them a letter, be like, hey, can we puppet these guys? And if they say no, we say, okay. Sorry we asked. You know, instead of needing to do this business, do we have your blessing, Great Britain? And so we will just annex Brunei. We are puppeting everyone else because we're trying to make use of the fact that they have 5 construction. They'll build a few things. They'll have a few laughs. It'll be all good. Cotton plantations is probably going to be one of the more profitable buildings, given that if we take a look at our construction centers, they are consuming right now wood and fabric. And this is a big part of what they're consuming at the moment. We're going to switch to iron frame buildings eventually. But the wood and the fabric are going to be what's needed. We actually have a shortage of wood. We hope that the Netherlands fixes that shortage, but perhaps they won't. So perhaps we need to fix it for them. Let's just look at what's most productive in terms of the trade routes. We're going to import from the Brazilians, maybe. Would not like to spend this bureaucracy. We do have a shortage on the wood, which is going to get even more of a shortage as we finish these construction centers. So why don't we just resolve the wood a little bit by finishing the tooling center. And I know what you might be thinking, the tooling workshop doesn't produce wood, it consumes wood. What are you talking about? Ah, yes. But if we go in and we look at our PMs, the sawmill's PM creates more wood, and it uses tools. So we need tools in order to get this through, and so we'll just finish our tooling workshop in order to make wood cheaper. Bulligan backs down. That's nice. We didn't even put in war reps, so we'll take a quick save again, and then we will just annex Brunei. Now, this war is very likely to actually occur because, you know, this is how it works. But we'll annex Brunei because we want to have some more iron mines. And this is why we're annexing as opposed to just puppeting. Puppeting's easier on the infamy, this sort of stuff. Let's take a look at how this colonization is going. We want to get into Massena so that we can get that tasty, tasty education access. We are very, very likely to pass this, as it were. Ah. I thought we had more of that energy drink. Okay. But this is just... It shouldn't be the case that you're allowed to... Yeah, I don't like the market liberal landowner. Now, we could increase taxes and still maintain the same legitimacy level. And we probably will increase taxes pretty soon here. But not quite yet. We see that no one has sided against us. We can either get enactment chance or kneecap the landowners a little. Let's kneecap the landowners a little. Or we're getting increased chance either way. But we will want to, somewhat shortish term, empower the Intelligentsia enough. And they're abolitionist, but they're kind of abolitionist anyways, but we're going to need them to get rid of slavery, which is going to be important. 69.6%, very nice. Oh, we can stop prioritizing grain export, which we want to. And then we get the end of the corn laws, which gives us more loyalists, which is going to be pretty nice kind of here at the start when we are going to be generating quite a bit of radicalism because we discriminate against everyone, which is insane, but this is the start. This is the way things go. That's how the cookie crumbles, etc., etc. Now, one thing we are trying to keep an eye on is if we got a land adjacency with, say, Liberia, we could puppet them, and then we would have a native interest in this region, and then we could go colonize somewhere else, like Kenya, let's say. We have nothing under construction. That's terrible. Which means our tooling workshop is finished. We will build another tooling workshop, and we will turn on sawmills. So this will cause all of these things to employ. And so now, if we take a look, this is Merchant Guild owned, which means it's owned by the shopkeepers. These are actually primarily industrialists right now, which is normally not the case. Normally it's primarily petite bourgeoisie. But I imagine this updates now that we will actually have... Yeah, that's kind of weird. Okay, but we will be, instead, we will be building more iron. So let's take a look where we can build iron, because we want to take this from crude tools to wrought iron tools. We need iron, and now that we have tools, we can get iron. So this is kind of like the circle of life. We get the tools, then we get the iron, then we get the iron frame tools. So, and notice we have a potential of 3 here, 4 here, 8 here, 1 here. Really not an enormous amount. And so, this is why we are annexing Borneo. Or we're annexing Brunei here. More than anything. And we'll build the iron here, and we'll put both of these to auto-expand. That way, if our queue empties, we kind of have something to do. We'll also put the wood, the chop-chops, on auto-expand. And we'll switch these to fig orchards. I know it loses money. Not too big a concern. And this to harvesting tools, knowing that it loses money. And these to butchering tools, which probably won't lose money, but we'll see. We're just trying to get the tooling workshop up and going. We're about to abolish serfdom here. And we can declare another war. Now, it's important to note, at the very start, you actually don't have any ships in Dutch East Indies. So in order to enforce on Sulawesi, for example, we would actually have to land them because their capital here is in an island. So we can't really take Sulawesi. We can go after Sintang, Siak, and Aish. So we will take a save and we will go after these boyos. And after we go after these boyos, we won't really have many wars we can declare because we can't land anyone at this point. But we can pop these boys. So we'll mobilize, and we'll also ask for war reparations against these guys to make them more likely to back down, and also open up their market. And we get serfdom abolished here. It's a nice. So now that serfdom's abolished, we can go interventionalism. Now, I think that laissez-faire overall is stronger, but when you're like kind of below 100 construction, let's say, that having control over the queue will become much more important because you're just trying to ramp up construction at the very, very start. So we will probably go interventionalism here, and then we will go free trade, and then immediately after we might go laissez-faire. But for now, we'll just go interventionalism. At least as long as our market liberal landowner is alive. Who might die? If they die, we will almost certainly rev, because our actions will really piss off the landowners. And I think we can afford more construction. So where we're going to build it is going to be, we're going to build one construction center over here where we can build some of the iron mines, and one in North Borneo, and then one in West Java. And then once all these finish, then we will build the iron, and this will be great. Hopefully they just back down or whatever. Then we will take a save, and we will try and get free from the oppressors. I was thinking what I want the objective for the run to be. I'm still not sure exactly what I think it should be, but I think moving our capital to Holland after annexing the Netherlands is kind of an amusing one. So that's kind of up there, as well as, you know, maybe taking all of the, Indonesia. Either way. Now we are losing money at a rate where I feel comfortable increasing the taxes, and we are fine having the minus attraction penalty on these interest groups because we don't even want them to be powerful anyway. So we'll just accept the higher construction. Yeah, you get these events when you have really low SOL, and we have low SOL partially because of... Alright, we're going to do this one. Partially because we have slavery, and so... It's just kind of it's the circle of life, I guess. Is that the Netherlands in between us? Dutch East Indies, Dutch East Indies. It is. So we should handle them pretty quick, and then it's just Aish and Siak. Annexing these guys if we want, but if we take a look, like, they get the 5 free construction, so they're going to be building a bunch of stuff. They're going to build rural stuff, and if they're building rural stuff, our auto queue will be less inclined to build rural stuff, and I think that overall this is kind of what we want, which is why we're going after vassals more so, or one of the reasons we're going after vassals. Also, we don't have too much construction, so the 5 free construction is a pretty big juice. And then we'll be annexing them maybe once we get to 300, 400, 500 range in terms of our construction. What's going on over here? Oh, Great Sioux Nation. Sue you later. Okay, bad jokes are bad. We have to ban slavery. We have to change the tax system. I don't think the landowners are a big fan of that, but it isn't too hard to change the tax system, or it won't be once the landowners are sufficiently kneecapped, which they are getting very close to doing. Or being. You know, they started out with like 70% clout, now they're down to 50%. We're trying to gas up the Industrialists and the Intelligentsia in particular, and we'll see what we can do here. Sintang will be giving up pretty soon. Then we will take a save and try and see if we can maybe declare war on the Netherlands. We have been improving relations with Great Britain this entire time. Kind of the threshold we want is actually to get over 20, so maybe we hold off a little bit, but let's just see if they would support a war. We don't really want to be paying a huge percentage of our income. I think it might be 25. I have to look up the number. It's substantive. But if we ask for independence, can we get help? Yay, interventionalism. Fantastic. We are just going to be kind of speeding through to see if we will get... Nope, we are ineligible for help. We do need to get better relations with the UK first. because we really can't land the Netherlands with 0 ships. And otherwise, we're just going to have to build up the economy, then build the ships, and then land them, this sort of thing. Which is fine, fair enough. Alright, so let's go into laws. We have now passed interventionalism. Fantastic. So we are going to be getting much better investment pool, specifically in an industrial way, and much more from capitalists, which is what we are trending towards anyways. So let's get free trade now. Because the capitalists, for example, own this tooling workshop. We're going to put this tooling workshop on auto-expand. We're running out of wood. No! We will decrease the demand for wood here. Or, this doesn't even decrease the demand for wood, it just creates more demand for iron. Fair enough. And I think all the wood is on auto-expand, or we put all the wood that's already been constructed on auto-expand. So we don't have to watch the queue too carefully, because we know that overall it's going to be good. I guess we could just come in here and puppet Siak. And, you know, just get a big chunk of the Netherlands. We're terrified of Great Britain. In testing, what I've noticed is Great Britain will sometimes, like, seize places from you, like, take to door, and there's really nothing you can do about it, and even if you have positive relations with Great Britain, they'll still do this, because they can have negative relations with the Netherlands. Let's take a look and see if they have any rivals. They just have Belgium as the rival, and Brazil. Which, perhaps we want to improve relations with Belgium, then. So, we do not have an interest in their strategic region. We have one additional strategic interest, but it's used over here because we're trying to colonize into Messenia, which is going to be extremely slow for the time being. We could sway no one at this point. We will also add war reps and opening their market in case this war actually pops off. Other than that, we will just subjugate them. Subjugate. And we are very easily pushing through the economic reforms. It's hard to emphasize how OP the corn laws are, because just getting the market this just like basically overrides all of the landowners' opinions regarding what is right and proper regarding the economy. And so one thing to keep in mind though, once this guy dies, it really pisses the landowners off. So there's that. We do have the Path to Liberalism event chain. Let's just take a quick look at this. We have to enact census suffrage or universal suffrage, but other than that, we do have someone who's a market liberal in the government, and so we would get be able to get a radical here, but we do not yet have, if we enacted the proper, census suffrage or universal suffrage, but we do not yet have human rights, and so we want to wait until we have human rights to do this. This might be the only reason to not pop the Corn Laws event, but I believe getting on a better economic system early on is just too important. But this unlocks multiculturalism, which we need. Again, really like to emphasize this, because we are discriminating against everyone who is in our, except for the Dutch and the 4 guys who are North German in our economy. Other than those boyos, we are discriminating against everyone. Almost all of our populace is discriminated against, which is partially why we have such a booty standard of living, because the lower strata are all discriminated against. We now get free trade. Okay, so now we can take a look at our laws and maybe take a little bit of a think here. We could switch on to per capita taxation. This is supported by the armed forces. It's going to be hard to get through the landowners at this juncture. We could switch to dedicated police force. We don't really have a lot of bureaucracy to work with, and generally speaking, until you get like at least 200 construction, you kind of want to avoid building a lot of administrative centers, unless you have a strong reason. We can try and switch from peasant levies to pro-army. This likely doesn't necessarily get through. We can try and switch to, nope, we like that. Fair enough. We could go to landed voting. Not sure we want the voting just quite yet, but we could. We could also try and switch back to monarchy. We would like to abolish slavery, so let's just take a look. I just met you and this is crazy. But hey, something, let's abolish slavery? That's what that one girl wrote in that song, right? I don't think we get it through. How much do they hate abolishing slavery is probably an important thing to guess. Well, they're super, super happy with us right now. So we could even go for this and we would just lose out on their bonus and this would be kind of whatever. I think we'll do this. And we will not raise taxes. That way we get to stay uncontested here. And we will switch to banning slavery, which is going to help quite a bit with the radicalism problems. Also, the rural folk love it. I believe one of the iron mines is finished, so now let's turn this up to wrought iron tools, which is going to produce way more tools. This will cause the iron mines to employ, so we won't be running a shortage in just a moment, and we'll have way more tools. And so it is the circle of everything. I do believe we have like just barely enough iron to not be running a shortage when they finish producing this. But this is good, and this is kind of where we're at. I don't think we're going to be able to patronize Romanticism. We really would like to get the tech bonus, though, on this. So maybe let's try and figure out a way to squeeze that in. Let's just squeeze it in here, I guess, because it only requires a level 2. Well, we have 7 years, so we will just juggle this. We'll just keep it in the queue, just in case we have nothing left to do, or else to do. But for the most part, we will actually be trying to really expand the iron mines quite a bit. Yeah, we'll try and help out. So we'll just kick the arts academies to the bottom. And we puppet Siak here. Now, I do believe we will have positive relations with Great Britain, so we're genial. So we're just going to take a quick save and see if we can get independence. If we can get independence, then this will give us a lot more leeway. Also, we have a large economy, and so, you know, yeah, they're worried just with nothing else. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can't demand independence from them, just in terms of, like, how they feel. But it's a little bit unfortunate you have to wait until you get to the maneuver plays for it to, like, properly update and see who can join in. But we see that we cannot convince Great Britain, so we'll just take a quick load here. They are worried, but we have to land them, which is going to require us building a navy, because we obviously can't land them with nobody. So it's a little bit of a... It used to be you just had to sit and wait. Actually, maybe you just sit and wait for the status quo. I'm pretty sure we could just sit and wait and they would not be able to land us. I guess we'll go after Aish beforehand. Let's also just see if we can diplomatically demand independence. How close are you? We're friendly. Army power projection. If we owe you an obligation, will you do it? No. We could try and bankroll you. I don't think we can, actually. So we'll just puppet these boyos instead. So we have all these little subjects. We will want to start annexing these subjects when it starts coming to us, how should I say, once our construction gets way bigger, them getting 5 free construction is much less of a important thing. But for now, we will not do that yet. Move into restore agrarian and come on off of it. Wait, why is there so much support? Ah. Did our guy die? No, we still have the market liberal. Interesting. I don't know why they support the change back to agrarianism then. That is strange. Perhaps a little bit of a bug, something like this. But yeah, the corn laws are just... They're something else. Considering just installing a mod just to, like, disallow it, but when it's in there, it just feels improper not to use, to be honest. And so this is the... I mean, this is the fastest way to reform the Dutch East Indies here. And the tooling's the fastest way to get as many industrialists as possible. And kind of chalk up or cake up the Intelligentsia and the Industrialists, the Intellidustrialist block, rather than the Landowners. We will also be trying to switch off of... Maybe we go monarchy into parliamentary republic. I generally prefer parliamentary republic, so we could go monarchy, I guess. Which the Landowners would love, and this is also the time to do it, right? At this point in the game. Now that we got our economic laws in place, so we might do this. Of course, the switching around overall creates more disapproval. Switching back and forth will create more disapproval. Wow, we get lucky. We get the slavery banned right away. We probably should have put in more war goals against them, but this is kind of whatever. It's not too big a deal. But we banned slavery. So let's try and appease these guys. We will, of course, reform the government and kick these guys out now. Why don't we just keep everyone out? We're just going to do this for now. And now they'll be nice and happy with us because we are going to a monarchy, which we will switch off of relatively promptly. We will just switch back onto parliamentary republic and then maybe switch our voting laws. Normally it is actually extremely hard to switch from presidential to parliamentary, but since our landowners are so strong here, this is actually possible. Intelligentsia is not even mad because we just abolished slavery, so everyone's happy. Everybody wins in this scenario here. We are starting to build up on these iron mines, these logging camps, and more iron mines, this type of thing. I think it is... what do you have a shortage of? This iron. Okay, fair enough. We do need to build up quite a lot of iron. So why don't we do this? Because we will want to switch to iron frame buildings now. Instead of just building more construction centers, we want to switch the ones we currently have to iron frame buildings. This is less important with the really low, struggling lower strata, because this makes the labor in the construction centers we have particularly cheap, but we do want to, if we take a look here, we will see that in terms of our construction center, what it's demanding like fabric and wood, and so it's demanding, these are aristocrat goods versus industrialist goods. Almost all of these are industrialist goods, so it just generally moves our economy in more an industrial direction. And now we have puppeted everyone who we have an immediate land access to, excepting Portugal, I guess, who it's not much of an access. Let's just double check over here. Yep, so we do not have land access to anyone else. So as far as wars go, it's a little chill. We could annex. The reason I'm excluding Lanfang is because they are subject of Qing and we cannot possibly fight Qing. We could decrease taxes here, which means we kind of want to increase construction. So would it be insane to swap one of these over to iron frame? Pretty sure this will cause a shortage of iron is the problem. But it will cause construction to go faster, so there's that. I believe we're building iron mines here, so we're going to swap this one over to iron frame buildings, which causes a shortage. It does decrease the demands of like fabric and wood, relatively speaking, and it's not the hugest shortage. We are enacting monarchy again. Could decrease the taxes, kind of don't care too much. Would not kick us into a more legitimate branch, and also it is sapping the strength of the landowners right now, which is something we care about in a positive, interested way. Could go for independence on them again. Let's try that. Let's just take a quick save and see if maybe the UK wants to join us now. We could try and do a larger volume of trade, particularly with the United States, with the UK. Let's just take a look at this, and we will try and export these to the British market. Now you have more of a reason for being interested in this. We of course paused the game, and then forgot we paused the game. Now why are you worried? You have a lot of gold reserves. We could try and conquer the Dutch coast down here, which we do have access to, immediate access to. Dutch Ivory. We are not going to be able to beat Russia and the Netherlands. Oh. Maybe we take this war and see if we can just white peace out of it. Also, we have currently no infamy, so we'll just ask for the Ivory Coast as well. And if they want to back down, this is fine. If they don't want to back down, this is also fine. We'll just mobilize and put it in here. And we kind of do want this little bit of the Ivory Coast as well. We are losing quite a bit of money now, so I think we're going to come in here. We're going to increase taxes, which will kneecap the landowners a little bit. It will decrease standard of living in a couple spots. Not too big a deal. Yeah, the one place we're adjacent to them, we're going to win. And then we will try and move back to the capital, I think. It's going to be the play here. We could not get the UK to join with us. We will just load if like this war turns out really weird and we just get kneecapped. They back down. Perfect. So now we are independent, which does mean we have to source our own goods. And here we have it. Jean Jetin Baad, the ruler, has died. We get our landowners are suddenly really pissed with us because they no longer have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, now they have a traditionalist, and the traditionalist is like, what the hell? What's with all this agrarianism, getting off of, going free trade, abolishing serfdom, getting rid of slavery? This is terrible. And so we no longer have the market liberal. Instead, we have this boyo. So, and so suddenly they're really pissed with us, despite us passing monarchy. If we were not passing monarchy right now, we would get a rev, and we would be able to fight it, but this is kind of whatever. I think we maybe want to try and to get into someone else's market so we can sap off pops from them, but they will be sapping pops off from us right now. We are running a bunch of convoys. We don't have too much convoy usage. I guess we want to try and, you know, maybe take a look at what we can do in regards to customs unions. We can become a protectorate of Spain. That's amusing. I mean, I do think they're stronger than the Netherlands, so that's something. Not adjacent with Ashanti. So I guess, I mean, we just want to set up some trade routes then. We'll try and import some of this. Now, we have an adjacency with Qing through Lanfang, I believe. We have a land border with Lanfang. So why don't we do... This won't require our convoys. And we can import these from maybe the British. Or the French, or both. Don't want to switch off of the better military PMs. This isn't too big a deal. Not having any paper is actually a pretty big deal. We'll import it from the Dutch and the British. We are on free trade, but we are starting to run out of stuff. We got to import the clippers. Let's import it from the Dutch. And we'll import this from... we can import it from the Dutch or the British and the French. We'll import it from the British. Just try and get rid of this. And we will want to be wanting to import wood and fabric, particularly fabric. That way, our auto queue is less inclined to build cotton plantations. Specifically. Although, yeah, we're definitely going to want to import a lot more. But not quite yet. This independence is quite nice, though. I think we'll try and get into someone's customs union for at least a short time period. Before, like, fully developing our own or focusing on our own. Are we... Okay, we are automatically at the start of the game colonizing Klebs, which is good. I rather like this change that they made. And we get atmospheric engine pump soon. So we are going to want to, in order to get a lot more iron, we're going to need coal to get the iron. Now, where has a high level? Okay, this place does. So we're going to add 2 levels of that, and then we will, of course, kick this government construction queue up to, or the government center up to the top. And we will hopefully get monarchy here, so we can get off of monarchy. Or so we can switch... Now, why can't we do parliamentary republic? Oh, because we need the trade union, or we need the intelligentsia and government, or whatever. But we can switch to landed voting here. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's going to be what we do. To start moving in this direction and get off of oligarchy in particular. Oligarchy is not terrible, but we are going to have a hard time, you know, getting the intelligentsia strong enough to do anything. without it, and the landowners do not oppose the landed voting. So let's swap to it. And we don't want to restore presidential republic. We want parliamentary republic. We are floating extra authority here. So it's a little bit tempting to do some of this. And then, are you a liberal? No, you're an abolitionist. So let's bolster you. And then decrease this back down. And just float that -10, which is fine. We will turn on atmospheric engine immediately for the coal mines. And then we will look at which one of these are both building up to level 3. I mean, ideally, we would want to proc the event in such a way that we can get progress towards railways, but maybe we don't care so much, we just want the cheaper iron. Because we're going to research it somewhat fast anyways. I think we'll probably, yeah, just go we'll just proc the atmospheric engine pump event. In theory, you can kind of min-max a little bit more. If you do not already have mechanical tools, then you will get research progress towards water tube boiler, but I kind of don't hate getting water tube boiler relatively early anyways. And so we will, despite us not having mechanical tools, we will proc the atmospheric engine pump event by turning on the atmospheric engine pump in all of our places. Actually, if we turn it on in just one, I think it won't proc the event. So maybe we'll do that. Because I think it has to be 75% of your buildings. And we're going to have 9 of these. So this means we just have to not turn it on in at least 4. So we're just going to turn it on here. And then we shouldn't get the event. Now we are running shortages. I see that. I'm just going to turn this on now. Obviously it's not going to work because we don't have coal. And we have shortages of iron in particular. Yeah. Now, why do we have such little sell orders? We do have some iron mines. Why aren't... We should have more sell orders. Oh, what is this? No market access. Got it. That would be it. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. This all makes sense. So, but why can't you... You should have market access. Why do you have none? Alright, let's take a look. Yes, I see that it is 0. Tell me why. Dear tooltip. Why do you have no market access? Because I have a port. Do I not have a port in... I mean, I'm using a cargo port here. And I have a port here. So why do you have 0 market access? This befuddles me. Is this a bug? Why do you have no market access? I'm so confused. Let's just try turning on all of our ports to be cargo ports. And let's delete this. No, so why does it only have access here? This makes no sense. Well, also we can vassalize Bali. Well, if we join someone else's market, this will get solved, at least in the short term, but in the long term, we're going to have a bit of a problem. Why don't we just try building a port and seeing if just the new port being built solves the problem, and let's build the port here. So let's just act like we don't have ports even though we do have ports and see if just the building of the port solves the problem. We also, of course, let's vassalize these boyos. We can't afford it. We also want the approval from that interest group. We'll do that. Very strange. We will add some other war goals. Spain would join again with us. We're gonna open the market and ban slavery. I mean, most of our economy is here anyways, but did it fix itself? Looks like it fixed itself. Okay, fantastic. Maybe it just needed time to think. I don't know. So we'll put these at the bottom of the queue then. And I think we had... Alright, we get landed voting, which is going to make it easier for us to kneecap these guys. Long-ish term. We have total separation already. It will radicalize, I'm sure. The landowners trying to go for this. They're already pretty pissed anyways. So it's probably just a matter of waiting for them to chill out. We kind of want dedicated police force because I'm guessing we're getting a lot of turmoil from radicals. So I guess we just see how this election shakes out here. Agrarian Party's pretty caked up. Know what I mean? Let us turn on, or we already turned on the atmospheric engine pump in a few of these, and we will try and micromanage a little bit to make sure that the event doesn't fire, and then once the event finishes, then we will switch these North Bornean ones onto atmospheric engine pump. Yes. Alright. Probably switch these to trawlers. And once we have this coal, let's go gas streetlights once this next coal mine finishes in the queue in the upper right corner. And we should be pretty good with that. Grand Pan plays off. We'll take this. We take those. I'm just gonna switch now. And then we're gonna see about... Can we trade agreement some of these guys? Not really. Oh, because we have... Let's stop doing that. What's all of our Diplo going towards? Ah, yes. And then we can probably rival someone. Portugal? Sure. Should vassalize Bali pretty quick here. Landfangs wants an alliance. Does that indicate that they're no longer a subject? Nope, they're still a tributary. We are going to want to... I would like to get to 50 construction before we start building a navy, but maybe this is a little bit optimistic. Now, why are we running... Ooh, we're running a ton of shortages. Alright, so I guess we can't really... Or there's... Let's just take a look here. Okay, why can't you employ? There's not enough people. Is it qualifications? Not enough capitalists. Oh, we don't have enough Dutchmen all about. This is going to become a problem. Because only the Dutchmen can become capitalists. This is going to become a little bit of a problem here. They're not discriminated against, so they can migrate, but it will take us a little while to get this place up and going. Because people have to migrate over. And so, we currently can't support the coal, so we'll swap off on this stuff, unfortunately. We'll go to unlit streets. What's your problem? Paper. So we do need to get more paper from someone. Alright, paper gets fixed, so this will... We'll slowly get some more bureaucracy or some more administration. Now that the paper shortage has been fixed, allegedly. I think we're going to build a coal mine here. The reason being is that there are more Dutch people here, and so it should be able to employ the capitalists. Eventually the capitalists will sort its way out, but this is going to take a little bit of a time. And so, yeah, so you see this coming down? Perfect. We would like to get on to no migration controls, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. We really want to get on multiculturalism, but that's not going to be... It's not going to happen in the near future. We get intensive agriculture, which is going to be good. We are encouraging manufacturing here. We're going to build chemical plants here. And do this. Because we are going to need way more fertilizer than we produce. We will use fertilizer in like a couple of these, I guess. And the Conservative Party wins with the Agrarian Party a close second. We are a little bit more legitimate on the back of that. I think we could just do something like this and be very legitimate. And we'll kind of look to maybe do something next election with the Agrarian Party. Now, we are on exploitation. We want to be on there. We would like to be on per capita taxation. The landowners don't like this. They really... If it radicalizes them, it will pull them out of government. Huh. I guess we don't really... Pulling them out of government doesn't do anything for us right now. Yep, so we're just going to chill here. Chill where we are in regards to the laws. But I believe I will call this an episode here. The most, or the biggest thing that we did, or we did two things really. We got independence from the Netherlands, so that we're no longer paying them war reps, so this is a big one. And we also abused the Corn Laws event chain to force ourselves to give us a market liberal landowner, which allows us to get interventionism, free trade, and serfdom abolished real easy. This is like... a fantastic way to start. Kind of looking next episode, we will be trying to turn on iron frame construction in all of the construction centers. This is going to be the big part of what we're doing. And then once we do that and maybe get around 100-ish construction, then we will build up a navy, because currently we have no navy, so we can't really start any fights. This is a little bit of... this is bricking us a little bit. We have several things in the queue. Almost all of it is going to the end of, in particular, getting us to... We can put these academies down as well. The end of being able to turn on the iron frame construction, so this is kind of the shtick. And we are definitely, in terms of a macro plan, we are just trying to get to railroads, and then we are going to kind of rush human rights, because, again, we have the unique situation at the start where we are discriminated against almost everyone in our country, and so we really need to get multiculturalism. We also managed to get rid of slavery, which helps a little bit, yeah. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one.